Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about preparing for the Puppy 3 tournament on Underdog Fantasy. The Puppy 3 tournament just opened with a $1 million prize pool, and it is only $5 to enter. So inside today's video, we're going to be talking about just my overall best ball strategy, as well as discussing some basic best ball principles, as well as some that are quote-unquote higher levels of thinking about best ball, with kind of discussing the Week 17 correlation and how important that is to really taking down a big tournament like the Puppy 3. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first thing I want to be discussing in preparing for the Puppy 3 is understanding stacking. Now, if you are someone that normally just plays redraft, your normal at-home league with your friends or with people from work or some random people you met online, in your regular redraft league, not everyone is looking to stack. Not everyone talks about stacking. If you're someone who plays DFS, then you obviously know what stacking is, because stacking is a principle that is basically something you need to do in order to win in NFL DFS. So, what is stacking? If you are new to best ball, new to DFS, stacking is drafting your quarterback with his wide receiver or tight end. Could be wide receiver and tight end. Could be multiple wide receivers and tight end. And if you want to get a little bit crazy, and you're like, you know what? This running back catches passes, maybe I want to stack my quarterback with my running back. So in cases like that, you've got guys like Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler. Maybe this year you believe Dalvin Cook is going to be catching more passes, so you go with Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. Maybe you want to get a little bit crazy. You want to be unique, which is something we're going to be discussing. Unique stacking, and you want to go with Christian McCaffrey and Baker Mayfield. Not a lot of people at the end of the draft are going to have a Christian McCaffrey and Baker Mayfield stack. And in Week 17, if the Carolina Panthers go crazy up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then maybe, just maybe, Baker dumps off 3 touchdowns to Christian McCaffrey. Then bada bing, bada boom, you could have just won the whole tournament because you have a unique stack. So stacking as a whole is a very simple principle. This is one of the easiest things to understand in best ball and DFS. You're just stacking your quarterback with your wide receiver or your tight end, multiple wide receivers, a tight end, and sometimes a running back. The best example of trying to understand stacking would be you draft Travis Kelce in the first round. Then in the 3rd or 4th round, you draft Patrick Mahomes. And then in the 6th, 7th round, you draft Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Sky Moore. Very simple. Now you have the quarterback, the tight end, and one of the potential number 1 receivers on the team. It is very easy to understand, and the reason why this is so important is because in those games where Patrick Mahomes pops off, he probably popped off because he threw a couple of touchdowns. Now this is different for other quarterbacks. There's guys like Lamar Jackson, maybe a guy like Trey Lance could be, where they could just run in 2-3 touchdowns, and that's why they had such a great game, and stacking with the wide receiver and tight end isn't as important. It is with Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, but there could be games where Lamar just has a great rushing game and not so great passing. But with guys like Patrick Mahomes, now, when Mahomes has a big game, it's not very likely that he ran in 3 touchdowns. It's more likely that Patrick Mahomes slung 5 touchdowns to Travis Kelce. He threw 1 to MVS, threw 1 to Juju, 1 to Sky Moore. So the more players you have on that team, the more pass catchers you have on that team, the better chance it is that when they have that big game, when Mahomes has that big game, that you are going to be dropping a deuce on the people in the tournament because you are going to be scoring a shit ton of points because you have the full stack. Now, is it possible to stack too much? In my opinion, no. But in a way, you can. Sure, you can stack Patrick Mahomes with Juju, Sky Moore, MVS, and Kelce, right? You got 5 players. But if you're stacking them now with CEH and Ronald Jones, and then you're taking the backup tight end in Kansas City, then you are just doing way too much. So, in my opinion, the most players you want to be stacking on one given team, so you're including the quarterback, the running back, the wide receivers, the tight ends, you want to be doing 5. 5 max. If you're doing over 5, it's just a little bit crazy, and on a lot of teams, you're drafting the 5th receiver on the team that who even knows what the fuck that player is going to do. So in my opinion, I think you can stack too much. Most people don't have this issue though, right? They're just taking the big names. It's not too difficult. You can do a skinny stack, just your quarterback or receiver. You can get a little bit deeper, do the quarterback, the wide receiver, the tight end, but don't stack more than 5 players on the same team. In my opinion, if you're doing that, you're just hurting your team. So the next kind of draft strategy to discuss here is understanding Week 17 finals correlation and understanding which matchups in Week 17 now. Season hasn't started. The preseason hasn't started. So in Week 17, crazy shit could happen, right? Some defense that you thought was going to be amazing, half the players get hurt or something, right? Or just in that game, Week 17, they're banged up, they're not playing too well. Or maybe there's a torrential downpour in the game. Right? Those are things you can't project, or maybe the whole offense is hurt. But more than likely, if you got to Week 17 with the stack, they're probably still healthy, right? They're the reason why you got there. So, in Week 17, the reason why correlation is so important is because all these tournaments on Underdog are heavily weighted to getting to the finals. You want to go ahead and dominate during the regular season, make it to the playoffs, get all the way to Week 17 where the finals is, and then basically lay your hands down there and have correlation so that if your quarterback and wide receiver are popping off in that game, there's a good chance that that game is high scoring because the quarterback is putting on high pressure and the other team's fighting back. So, in DFS, this is something that is very obvious to do. When you stack, you typically have what is called a run back. Now, you don't have to have some crazy 5-player run back on the other team, right? In DFS, that would make 0 sense. So you have one guy come back or another guy come back, so you have 2. So say we're looking at this matchup right now of the Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos, which is basically, in my opinion, the best Week 17 stack. There's a couple, but in my opinion, that's the best. So you have that Pat Mahomes stack we just discussed, and then you also have the run back of Alberto and Jerry Jeudy, or Cortland Sutton and Melvin Gordon. You have some type of a run back, so if that game does go banana lands, which you're going to need to fucking win, right? You're going to need those players to go crazy if you win. So you're just projecting that that game is going to go insane, and then you have the correct bring back there. So you need Week 17 correlation, in my opinion. Now, has the pendulum swung too far? Potentially, because it seems like all the best ball bros, including myself, are really talking this strategy up. And I'm not really saying that you need this crazy 3-4 player bring back in that game. You don't need the Kansas City Chiefs and then the whole Denver Broncos team, right? You just need 1 or 2 players. And if those are the correct 2 players, that game really does go crazy, then your chance of winning increases by a lot. So the Week 17 schedule is something you need to try to ingrain in your mind. And if you can't do that, then just go ahead and Google it, put it up on your screen. So Week 17, we got Dallas at Tennessee. That game could be good weather, could be bad weather. We don't know. No way of knowing. But my best bet there is that there's not going to be no wind, right? There's definitely going to be some wind. Could be some rain. Could be some snow. Arizona at Atlanta. That is in a dome. So that's a good game to look for. Chicago at Detroit. Also in a dome. Jacksonville at Houston. In a dome. Denver at KC. That one, the weather might not be so nice, but a very positive game again. Miami at New England. Not the hottest. Indy at New York for the Giants could also be so-so. Carolina at Tampa Bay. That's in Tampa Bay. Should be good, clear game. Cleveland at Washington. Not so hot. San Francisco at Las Vegas. That is in a dome. New York Jets at Seattle. Could be bad weather. Minnesota at Green Bay. Could be bad weather. LAR at LAC. Rams, Chargers in the fucking dome. Sunday Night Football. That's great. Buffalo at Cincinnati. This game could be crazy. This game could also have wind, snow. So, as a whole, the Week 17 games that are very important in my opinion. Arizona at Atlanta. Carolina at Tampa Bay. LAR at LAC. Jacksonville at Houston. Chicago at Detroit. And San Francisco at Las Vegas. Now, if you've done all this galaxy braining, thinking about week 17, you might also want to consider week 16. You might also want to think about week 16. What are the good matchups? What's in a dome? What's a warm game? What's a game where, the weather's not going to fuck you over? Philadelphia at Dallas, in a dome. Green Bay at Miami. Pretty nice in Miami normally around week 16, even though it's cold everywhere else. Denver at LA Rams. That's in a dome. Tampa Bay at Arizona, in a dome. Chargers at Indianapolis, in a dome. And Giants at Minnesota, in a dome. So, again, week 16, you don't have to put all this crazy emphasis in it, but if you throw some sneaky one-player correlation, that one-player run back in there, if you draft a bunch of Dallas guys, maybe you want to draft Kenneth Gainwell, Dallas Goedert, and you have that potential for that player to pop off in that game where Dallas does good. So is it 100% crucial to have the week 16 bring back, the week 16 correlation? No. But this is something to even further think about in your drafts. There is also something that I like to talk about here. Me and Matt Savoca have talked about this a bunch, which is known as the division stacking. The AFC West, Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs, LA Chargers, the Las Vegas Raiders. That's a high-scoring division. Then we've got divisions that might not be as hot, right? Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans. So should you be putting all your weight into division stacking? Not necessarily. But these are also things that can create very big spike weeks, especially in the AFC West, where I project all 4 of these teams, when they're going toe-to-toe, crazy shit is going to be happening. There is going to be very high-scoring games in those divisions. So if you have the AFC West, you go with the Chiefs stack, then, maybe throw a Raider in there. Throw a Charger in there, even if it doesn't necessarily correlate to week 16 or week 17. Now, again, these are all kind of bigger brain strategies. So you don't necessarily have to utilize all these strategies, but these are just things that I want to make very clear to you if you are newer to best ball, that you understand these things. But before we kind of talk about the last strategy here and close out the video, I want to give you guys a quick word from our friends, our sponsor of today's video, Underdog Fantasy, which holds the Puppy 3 tournament. The Best Ball Mania 3 tournament has $10 million in total prize money, $2 million to first place. But that's $25 to enter. The Puppy, which I also like the Best Ball Mania 3, but the Puppy is only $5 to enter with $1 million in total prize money. All you got to do is draft your team, and that's it. There's no waivers, no trades, no in-season management. The team you draft is final, and Underdog will automatically put your best lineup in every single week for you. So you don't even have to worry about that. Last year's Best Ball Mania champion drafted in June. No need to wait until September 4th, Memorial Day weekend to draft, right? You can draft right now. Click on the link in the video description down below to get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100 with Underdog and our Best Ball draft kit for 100% free, as well as our Best Ball draft kit. So you get that $100 deposit bonus. You deposit $100, you get an additional $100, and you will be getting our Best Ball and Fantasy Football draft kit. So make sure you do take advantage of that. And if you are new to Underdog, I hope this video really helped you out, because this video, while it has some high-level tactics, a lot of what I have explained has been also for newer players to best ball. So the final thing I want to talk about is staying calm. This has been something that I've always talked about in fantasy football. Do not fucking panic. It's very easy to get into the draft. You start galaxy braiding, trying to think of a million things. You start to panic, and you're not prepared. Please stay calm during the draft. Please pay attention while you're drafting, and you'll be just fine. Make sure that you stay calm, because there's going to be points in the draft where you get sniped. You're like, oh, fuck, I really wanted this stack. Things don't work out. You can pivot. You can always pivot. No team is dead, right? No team is dead until the season starts, and then half your team gets hurt, right? But until then, no team is dead, right? So you need to make sure that you are paying attention in the draft and staying calm. Do not panic. This is a more important thing for newer players, because newer players tend to panic. So make sure that you have a good understanding about the draft before you do it. Look at the ADPs. Look at the ADP swings. This is something I like to look at a lot before I go into these drafts. Look how much players are moving. Julio Jones is moving up 5 rounds, 6 rounds. Why is that? Should I be buying this rise? Or should I be saying, Julio Jones kind of sucked in Tennessee. What should I do? So looking at ADP change is also something that I view as being very important. So let's close this video out. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Let me know down below in the comment section if you have any questions, something I didn't explain fully, something you didn't understand, because that's okay. That's okay. I'm not perfect. So I obviously might have not explained something fully. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out that link down below in the description to get that $100 first match deposit bonus, as well as our best ball draft kit and fantasy football draft kit for 100% free. You still have to deposit on Underdog, but you will be getting the best ball draft kit and the fantasy football draft kit 100% free when you use that link. I love you guys all. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good boy.